Hi, I'm Beth from Sew Country, and I'm so excited to sew up this pouch with you today. This is the Southeast Travel Pouch from Hills Handmade, and it is a free pattern. If you've watched my channel before, you know that I love pouches, and I love using clear vinyl, and I just now started working with the jelly vinyl, and I'm really having a fun time working with it and learning how to use it. So this pouch came at the perfect time. I just really enjoy sewing things that come together quickly and are cute and unique and just have some fun features on them. With this pouch, I want to talk a little bit about the materials you're using. You're going to be using clear vinyl and then the jelly vinyl. For clear vinyl, it is best if you can use TPU vinyl. Vinyl comes in two different types, or the clear vinyl. It comes in a PVC and a TPU. The TPU vinyl is the softer, more malleable vinyl. It does better with bags with a little bit of curves or edges, and when you turn it out, it's much easier to work with. You can make this, of course, with the PVC vinyl. It's just going to be a little bit trickier, and you may get frustrated at times when you're trying to push everything out, or your corners may be a little stiff, something like that. With this TPU vinyl, I got this one from Zipper Valley. I've got the jelly vinyl from Wonderground Fabric. I choose to use Wonderground Fabric for my jelly vinyl because of two reasons. One, they stock regularly. Jelly vinyl goes out of stock almost immediately as someone puts it in stock, so it's kind of hard to find it. You can do pre-orders and things like that, but I don't like to wait a long time for the stuff I want to work with. So for Wonderground Fabrics, I think right now they are out of stock, but they will probably have it back in stock within a week. So you never have to wait long. And the second reason is they ship extremely quick. So you don't have to wait 20 business days or something like that. Turnaround time, they ship within just a few days. So that is where I got the clear and jelly vinyl for this. I got the little frog zipper pulls from So Majestic. And for this second one that we're going to be sewing up today, I'm using, again, a TPU vinyl, and this one is from So Girly Fun. And the jelly vinyl is, again, from Wonderground Fabric. So now that we've looked at the pouch and talked about the materials, let's talk about everything you need to sew up this bag. You're going to need your zipper tape, and the pattern does call for 2 zipper pulls. You could use 1, but the 2 zipper pulls, just like this one, just look cute there in the middle. So zipper tape, 2 jelly vinyl zipper overlays. This is the jelly vinyl bottom gusset. It goes around the bottom of the bag here. You see it right here. The 2 zipper gusset pieces that go around the top of the bag. And this is the jelly vinyl overlay I was talking about. And then your front and back panels. I went ahead and cut my webbing according to the measurements given in the pattern. And I went ahead and attached them the way the pattern says to do so. What you do is you find your center marking, and the pattern tells you how far to measure out for each one. So I went ahead and clipped those on there just to have them in place, so I wouldn't have to do that while I was on camera. With this pattern, the only pattern piece you have is this front and back. So you print out that front and back piece, and the rest of these are a measure cut type of format, which is what I prefer because you save paper and also you save time because you're not cutting out pattern pieces, you're just cutting out the fabric once, and I feel like it's more accurate, but I just want to let you know that in case that's a problem for you. So now that we've talked about all the pieces for this pattern, I want to go over a little bit of prep work. Like I said, I went ahead and prepped this by putting the 2 webbing pieces for my straps already on my front and back panel. I'm going to just baste those in place, and then I will set this aside until the end. For your zipper, go ahead and put a row of double-sided tape down each side or each edge of your zipper. If you know me or watch my videos, you know I do not like to use double-sided tape, but in this pattern it really is necessary, and you could do it without it, but it does help so much since you're working with vinyl and materials that are kind of slick like that. This really is a good idea. I am using the 1/8 of an inch double-sided tape. I get mine from Amazon. On the back of your 2 zipper gusset pieces, I went ahead and put a row of double-sided tape right down the middle. That is the prep work for this bag. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and baste my 2 handles on, and then I'm going to set them aside, and then we'll move on to the zipper gusset construction. When I'm sewing with clear vinyl, the main thing I'm going to have to worry about is not so much my foot. My foot doesn't stick because I have a very small foot on this, and it, especially like the TPU vinyl, good quality vinyl, it doesn't stick too much. But what happens is the bottom sticks to the bed of my machine. 2 ways you can prevent that is you could put a Teflon sheet down here, and so that your vinyl is just going over that Teflon sheet, or you can do what I do and I just hold it up. So when you see me sewing this, lots of times you'll see me lifting everything up, so there's only a small part of the clear vinyl touching my machine at any given point. So I'm going to lengthen my stitch length while I'm sewing with clear vinyl and jelly vinyl to a 3.5. You can play around to pick the best stitch length for you. I'm also going to be using a fresh needle, and I'm going to be using a Microtex sharp needle. And then what I do is I just go slow. I don't rush anything, and I usually don't have too much trouble with that. Sometimes you do have to fool with your tension a little bit, but I don't have to because I just sewed this last night and I felt like it looked okay. So now I'm going to baste each side of my strap in place. I'll just do that with an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance, but I'll make sure I go back and forth on each side. Okay, I have the straps attached onto my clear vinyl front and back. I am going to trim my strings. I'm going to make sure that I do a really good job of trimming all threads, because with clear vinyl, you will be able to see them easier at the end. But I'm going to set these aside for now, and I'm going to pull out my zipper tape. I do not have my zipper pulls attached yet. I prefer to do them after I complete this part just for ease. And also, I don't measure my zipper tape. I just make sure that it's always longer than my zipper panel, and then I trim up at the end. So since I have the double-sided tape on both sides, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start with one side, and I'm going to peel off the tape. I'm going to take one of my zipper gusset pieces. But what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to take this long raw edge, and if it's directional, pay attention to the direction you want it to go. And I'm going to place it about, I want to say maybe a little over 1/8, maybe a 1/4 of an inch away from the zipper teeth. Pretty much right in the middle of my zipper tape. I had that a little too close to the edge, so I'm going to come back here. Once you get it placed where you want, then you press it down on that zipper, on that double-sided tape. So you can see I have it about halfway, and it's just laying on that double-sided tape. I'm going to push that down. Now I'm going to take one of the jelly overlay pieces, and I'm going to take that piece of double-sided tape off, the paper backing off, and now this piece is going to be about 1/8 of an inch away from the teeth. It's going to go right on top and cover up the edge of your clear vinyl. And also you want to make sure you line up the short sides. Just because I have the zipper tape long doesn't mean I can't pay attention to that part. It's a little bit trickier doing this on camera, so mine's not perfect, but you want to take your time and make sure you get it as close as you can to perfect on getting it about 1/8 of an inch away. and uniform because it'll just look pretty in your finished pouch. So now that we have this attached, what we do now is we sew down both long edges of the jelly vinyl only on that overlay. So we're not coming over here. When we're doing that, we're attaching the vinyl and the overlay all to the zipper tape. So it's all going to be attached as one unit. So let's stitch down both long edges of this piece now. Okay, I stitched down both sides of the jelly vinyl overlay on this side. I'm going to repeat that same process for the second side. Taking off my double-sided tape first on the zipper, placing down the clear vinyl about 1/4 to 1/8 of an inch away, or a little bit over 1/8 of an inch away. And then I will add the overlay on top. When you're sewing with jelly vinyl, it does not stick hardly at all because it is like almost a matte finish. It's very smooth, and so it's really fun to sew with because your presser foot just kind of glides across it. I really like it. I'm enjoying it. I'm going to make another video with some jelly vinyl projects soon too. Okay, when I put that clear vinyl over, of course I want to make sure that I line up those edges so everything's nice and neat. Okay, take the double-sided tape off of this overlay and put it down the same way we did. An 1/8 of an inch away from the zipper teeth on this one. Try to get it as uniform as possible. I can see mine's not right there, but that's okay. Stitch down both long sides of your overlay. So after you top stitch down both sides of the jelly vinyl overlay, you need to add your zipper pulls or zipper pull. I'm doing 2, so I add 1 from each side. I'm using these adorable little hearts. I was gifted these by my friend Dalva, and I thought they would just look perfect on this bag. I went ahead and trimmed up the zipper tape on the edges, so now I'm ready to go on to the next step. At this point, we only have our zipper panel, the bottom gusset, and our front and back, so we're almost done. I'm going to attach this gusset by clipping the short edges together and just sewing them with the seam allowance given the pattern. Since jelly vinyl does not have a right or wrong side, it really doesn't matter how you sew it, so just put it against it and sew down that edge, and then we're going to flip it back and top stitch. So when you've sewn it together, you're just going to push it back. You can leave that seam right against the jelly vinyl and just top stitch on the jelly vinyl, attaching it to the seam. Once you have that top stitch, then you take the other edge and you just do the same thing. You just put it on top of the zipper gusset, lining up the short edges. Sew that, and then we will flip it and top stitch it. Push that open. Top stitch directly on the jelly vinyl, keeping that seam against the jelly. At this point, we're going to make center markings. I don't feel you need to make corner markings on this, but you could if you wanted to. That is a preference. So to make the center markings, I'm going to put the 2 pieces of the jelly together, matching up those seams. And then you've got to, let me go ahead and put a clip there so we can just talk and see that without me having to hold it. And then you have to decide how you want to mark your centers. I find this a little tricky because everything's going to show through whatever you want to do. So if you wanted to use a little bit of one of these silver marking pens, you could do that. Just try to keep as small as dot as possible. You could also make little snips with your scissors, just a little V here. I personally am going to choose to use clips. Using clips could be a problem because they could slip out or they could shift even and you not realize it, but I feel like I can manage it, so I'm just going to put these little clips to mark the center on the bottom and the center on the top. So now I have the centers marked on the gusset. I'm going to do this the same way with my front and back. I'm going to mark the center of the bottom and the top. Again, you have to make the choice of how you feel most comfortable doing your markings. For this one, I'm going to use these other clips like this because that is what I'm going to use to actually attach the gusset to the front and the back. So I'll go ahead and put one there. You will do this for the front and the back, but now what we do is we go ahead and attach the gusset to the front or back, whichever one it is, of your bag. You'll want to turn your gusset so that it is inside out. And you will start by lining up that first center marking with the top of the bag. Or the top of the front panel, so tops, and then the bottom. And the way you know that this is the top of the front panel is because that's where your handles are attached. And then you will take the bottom and do it the same way. Now I have those two marks, the two center marks clipped. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to clip along the straight edge of both the top and the bottom. And then after I clip along the top and the bottom, I'm going to ease it around the corner. This corner is going to be a little tricky because we're working with plastics here. So it's not going to be completely perfect. Whenever you're working with substrates like this that don't have a lot of give, you're going to have to be okay with just a slight bit of imperfection. Even though it's going to end up making an adorable pouch, you just can't get a perfect curve or a perfect corner every time. So now that I got the tops marked, you can see I'm just going to put a clip right there in that curve, matching it up as best as I can, getting it to go nice and smoothly. This is the way I find it works best for me, but definitely do whatever method works best for you. I'm going to go down the curve just a little bit and place another clip. And then after I do this, I'll place one more along the straight edge and then I'll go down to the bottom. If there is any, like it's too loose or too tight, then I adjust as I go. But this is, or maybe I shouldn't say as I go, but as I need to, and I push it wherever I feel like it can best go. I will show you if we have any problems with the gusset not fitting properly. My first one fit really good though. And so I can see that the side is going to fit really nicely. I don't even have to adjust it all. And that's why I kind of wait for the sides at last. I feel like I can do a little adjusting there if I need to around the curves, but this one's perfect, again, just like the one last night was, so it works out great. So I'm going to finish this up, and then we will sew around this clipped edge of the bag. So now I have that zipper gusset completely attached to the, let me look at it this way, to the front of the bag. So I eased everything around the corners and things like that. I found that this sews best when I lay that front panel down on my machine. This is the way I feel you can get the best sew. You're going to have to be careful, like I said, because that is going to want to stick to your bed. So lift it up if you need to, or put something, a piece of fabric, a Teflon sheet, whatever you want underneath it. When you're sewing around these corners, you're going to have to be a little careful because it's not going to, especially the jelly vinyl is a little stiffer, not by much, but a little bit than the TPU. So if you get a pucker, you can try to flatten it out. But there may be a pucker you may have to sew over. Try to flatten it out with your stiletto. Try to shift things around. But even with mine, I did sew over a couple puckers, as you can see in the corners, and it still looks fine. It's not a big deal. When you're working with material like this, don't expect it to be perfect. It's going to be cute even if it's not perfectly stitched. Because of the stiffness of it, it doesn't yield like a traditional vinyl or even a fabric will, of course. So I'm going to go ahead and start sewing. I'm going to sew on the start at the bottom. I'm going to use the seam allowance given the pattern. Back stitch, of course, lengthen your stitch length, and just go slow around this entire part. Okay, so I attached the gusset to the front panel. So I noticed I had a little bump right here, like the gusset was just a little bit too big. So what I did was I picked up those stitches and went to the next curve. So I unpicked all the stitches from there, and then I fed it like this way so I can make this straight edge be perfect and have a little bit more of that extra right here in the curve. You can see where it's a little bumped up there, but when you look here, you really can't tell it too much. The curve kind of hides that. So if you do have a little bit of bumping, try to get your straight parts looking better than your curves. It's a little easier to hide it on the curves, in my opinion. That's not an expert opinion. But anyway, now what we need to do is we need to use those same marks for your halfway marks on your front that you did on your front on your back, and let's go ahead and attach this same way. You clip it around. I start by clipping the long sides first, and then I ease into the corners of each, and then I finish up with the sides. If my sides are a little off, I just kind of spread it out and even it out so that everything is even on it. So I'm going to clip this and sew this together, and then we will come back for the birthing of the bag. Okay, so now that we have sewn everything together, you can choose to either just trim down your seam allowances or bind them. I am choosing just to trim them down. I feel no need to bind this bag. Of course, the vinyl and the jelly will not fray, and I just feel like there's no point in adding that in there. I mean, I think it could look cute, but it's not going to be what I'm going to do in any of mine. So I'm just going to trim everything down. I'm going to trim it by about half, and then we'll just turn this out and be done. Okay, now that we've got the seam allowances trimmed down, we're just going to open this up and birth this bag. Now, it will take a little bit of time to get everything poked out the way you want. You can use the technique of using a hair dryer, but I don't feel like it's necessary if you're using the TPU vinyl. If you're using PVC vinyl, you may want to do that, but this vinyl turns very easily. And it's just a matter of pressing everything out. And if it's not laying perfectly the way you want, sometimes you can, I will do clips. I'll put clips in the corners to get everything to lay out smoothly. I'm just pressing into everything, stretching it, pulling it, poking, trying to make it lay flat. But like this seam, definitely on my last one, I did clip it out for a little bit and kind of help the vinyl to know which way to lay. But this is it. Let's zip it up. See how it's standing? It looks adorable. And so what I would do if I wanted to make sure it's very, like, see how that's kind of denting in? I would just put some clips right here to kind of get it to remember which way to lay and to teach it, to give it that memory. But other than that, it's such an adorable little pattern. It's such a cute little bag. Shape it up the way you want. Let's put some clips in there and we can look at it that way. And you can start to see it take that boxy shape. And I don't leave the clips in there long, just a few minutes. I'll take them out, you can already see it holding it better. See? I love it. It's so cute. So this will be perfect for toiletries and things like that. But also I think these are going to be really good sellers at craft shows for kids. I think kids are going to naturally gravitate to these because they're the perfect shape for a little purse from them, or even just something they can carry with them in the car or things like that. A lunchbox even. It's a cute little lunchbox. Super love this pattern. I'm going to have the links for all the materials I used. I hope you enjoyed sewing this, and definitely tag me in this if you make one. I want to see it. And join Hills Handmade Facebook group. She has another pattern coming out. I don't think it's the end of this month. I think it's the beginning of next month. She has another one coming out. So she's very active in the sewing community. So share one of these in her group if you make one. And I hope you love it as much as I do. I think they're super cute. And just, I don't know, they just make me happy seeing them. And I love working with the jelly vinyl. Like I said, I'm going to do another tutorial probably not next week, probably the week after that. I'll do another one with jelly vinyl. So thank you so much for sewing with me. I hope you have a great day.